Okay, it's great to see so many people here. So welcome. It's fantastic. And I'm one of Lis's, probably one of her greatest fans. The reason being is I'm an avid reader, and every time I read the newspapers or listen to radio or watch television, I feel incredibly depressed. And if you believe everything you read, we are heading for doom. So I'm always excited when I read The Big Fix, because it makes me feel so much better to think there are people out there who actually care about what's going on in the world. And so when Wendy and I got together and she said, who would you like to interview first, or who would you like to bring in first? I could only think of one person, and that was Lis, because I just think that anybody who moves the mountains must have a love of this sort of country. And when you live up here, it makes you want to care for the area. And when I met Lis and saw that that's the sort of work that she was involved in, that's what she believes in, etc., 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 it just seemed natural that we should get together and talk about what makes Lis Bastian Lis Bastian. Now, does everybody know Lis's background thoroughly? No? You're going to be asked questions later. You're going to be asked questions later, I'll tell you. Well, look, one of the things I loathe is when people, when they introduce somebody, they've got a bit of a list and they go, and, like they're eating corn. So I thought, no, we're not going to do that, because Lis has actually, she has quite an impressive background, and it has informed her life work, I guess. So I'm just going to take a little bit of time to read it. You don't have to go bright red, because, well, let's just start with Lis Bastian is the founder of The Big Fix, a registered charity that is an umbrella organisation for Big Fix Solutions Media, Blue Mountains Pluriversity, Edgy Blue Mountains, Blackheath Community Farm, and the Blue Mountains Permaculture Institute. She believes artists and storytellers are instrumental in leading social change. And it is the Big Fix's mission to work with the creative community to change the story to grow a collaborative, solutions-focused culture. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Lis has a long history in the arts, having been a high school art teacher, an education officer at the Art Gallery of New South Wales, curator at Orange Regional Gallery, regional arts promotions officer, and CEO of ArtZ Out West, owner of Stop Laughing, This Is Serious Gallery in Blackheath, CEO of Varuna, Cultural Development Coordinator, Blue Mountains City Council, Public Programs Manager at the Blue Mountains Cultural Centre, and lecturer in cross-cultural studies and event management at the Blue Mountains International Hotel School. She's also a writer, editor, illustrator, and has been an exhibiting artist, and her creative focus is on social and environmental design. Why am I not surprised? All I know is that makes me feel very tired. Wow. You've done all of that, yes. Now,
I'm 21.
So how did it all begin? I mean, when Lis first came in, we sat down, I said, I'm going to ask you about your background. A lot of people know about The Big Fix and they know what you believe in, but they don't actually know a lot about who Lis Bastian is and what informed that passion. So there you go. And when I asked Lis before, she said, I don't know. But she's had a chance to think about it.
Yes, it's a very big question, and I think it's not one of those questions that anyone can fully answer honestly, because we have so many things impact on us, and we start telling stories about ourselves to ourselves all through our life. So to honestly understand why you are who you are is challenging with 5 minutes notice. But if I basically look back on my life very quickly, I guess my background is that my parents were migrants. Everyone in my family is a sort of different nationality, and I have a history of broken families. So we were forerunners in divorce in our family. So our families kept sort of breaking down a lot. My mother was German, so from very early on, I remember in primary school reading the Diary of Anne Frank and feeling responsible because I was German and thinking, you know, who am I? You know, have I come from the people that did this to Anne Frank? So that's worried me since childhood. And really from very early on, the greatest influences in my life have been artists and writers. Mm-hmm. And so they have guided my life. They have drawn me forward and have given me the answers. And so I remember a period when I lived alone and I was terribly, terribly lonely, but I had thousands of books. And I thought, do you know what? These are my friends. These books represent people's lives. You know, people worked and reached for something higher in themselves and devoted years to putting it all down into a book and made a huge effort. So when I sit here in this room alone, feeling quite miserable, I don't have to stay that way. I can think about these people surrounding me in the books. And I had a lot of art books as well, so it was visual art as well as writing. And I thought, you don't have to be here just in this moment in time. Humanity has existed for a long time and is going forward, and there are people who've cared passionately about one another and about the natural world and about who's coming and who's been, and that is like a continuum of passion and love and care that you can surround yourself with, and that gave me incredible comfort and inspiration. And I used to read a lot of those books, you know, where you get a collection of the 100 Great Lives. And I just think, who will I read today to inspire me? And then at one period, I grew up a Catholic and went in and out of believing as you do as a teenager. And at one period, I started reading people like Simone Weil and a lot of mystics and was so inspired by them. And there was one period in my life where I read a saint a day. So trying to think, I can be better than I can be like these people, like these wonderful people who inspire me. And I started becoming a nun at one stage, and then I was working in a soup kitchen in Darlinghurst, and I thought, you know what, these people really want someone to love them, you know, and I decided that rather than following that path, and I just couldn't quite agree with a lot of things I was being told as well, I decided that it was perhaps more important to just connect, and I decided that I didn't need an organisation to mediate or tell me what mattered, that I could try and understand what beauty and love is, you know, what that higher incredible thing is that inspires us, and just go to it directly without other people telling me. And I think I'd been, as a young child and as a teenager, I never had confidence in my own thoughts, and so I was always, you know, reading great people and saints and everybody else and turning to everyone else for advice, you know, what do you think and then suddenly at the point where I stopped doing that, I realised I could hear that myself, and I didn't have to keep asking people. That somehow, if I really observed and listened, I was able to work that out for myself, because I'd had such a background in everything I'd read, and I'm a voracious researcher and reader every single day still, so that I'm always trying to build a framework to use for my decision making. And so I guess that became the thing. And then I went on, I sort of dropped out of a lot of courses. I'm the sort of, when I used to speak to view clubs and people like that, groups in central New South Wales, I used to say, I'm the sort of, it's really good for mothers to come and hear me give a talk, because I'm like your worst nightmare. I'm the child that drops out of every course and doesn't know what they're doing, and start something again. And so I went to Sydney Uni, dropped out, went to Golden Teachers College, dropped out, went and worked for a while, then went to art school. And when I went to art school, that's what I wanted. And I knew that's what I had to be. And so then I finished art school. And in my final week, the final lecture we had was how to apply for the dole. but I knew that's who I was.
Yes.
Because that's what had always inspired me and where I needed to be.
So, do you consider yourself to be a social activist?
I consider myself to be a little bit of a social activist, amongst many other things.
Right.
I think that anybody who cares about the world would act on social issues.
Mm-hmm.
So I would hope we would all act, because there's a great quote that I've got millions of quotes, but there's a great quote I love, which is, one does not believe who does not live according to his belief. So that if you believe something, you need to act on it. So therefore, yes, I would, part of me could be described as a social activist.
Okay. How, with all of that in mind...
You could also call me an enviro slut. I'll do anything to make
All right, that's good. We won't edit that though. So just tell us, how did the Big Fix emerge with all of that background, an amazing background, all of that reading, all of those saints, etc., etc. How did the Big Fix emerge?
Okay, so that's another long story. So my background was in the arts. We started Stop Laughing, This Is Serious Gallery when we moved to Blackheath with one-year-old twins. And while I was there, a few people like Peter Shenston from Planet Ark and various other people came and started getting into my ear about climate change. And that was something that I'd never really thought much about. It wasn't really on my radar. And we went to the beach and people gave me books to read, and so it really started to worry me. And then I trained with Al Gore and just started really getting worried about what was going on with climate change. So we started a climate action group called Blackheath Climate Action Now. Actually, I think we might have called it the Cake Club first, because we wanted to get together and eat a lot of cake, and cake stood for climate and clean energy. But it was a good excuse.